Hey, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Sean.
This is Alex.
And this is Sven.
And you are listening to Season 4 of Coaster Kings Radio.
Yay!
Wow, we tried. Only took us like how many months? Like maybe like a month and a half between seasons. Not too bad. In these month and a half, we actually went on quite some trips. We did
a lot, yeah.
Like all of us did.
Yeah, but especially you guys. It's like, whoa, where's
Who knew
COVID?
that? Where is COVID?
The fact that we haven't caught COVID yet is really...
We haven't, but...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Long story short, yeah, who would have thought October and November were going to be travel months like that? Yeah. We haven't traveled like that in a minute. So we'll discuss that a little bit. We'll kind of look at what our season's going to look like, Season 4, what we're bringing to the table, what's new, what we're bringing back from last season, what you can expect. And of course, we're long overdue for some serious theme park news. So we'll address all those things in today's episode.
We have a lot to talk about. Like, there's a lot going on right now this year. This off season right now.
It's pretty much just like a repaint city everywhere.
For the books. It's the repainting.
Oh yeah.
The like overwhelming.
It's the like pushing CapEx
extravaganza
projects and big expansions like forward to the future and just investing in current attractions, which I kind of like that trend. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
So, but more on that later. First things first. Should we talk about some of our trips?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so you and I, over the course of the last 4 weeks, we did. What did we do?
We did Dollywood. Because long story short, we were gonna go fly to Silver Dollar City, but then there was like this crazy Southwest airline meltdown, and like all the flights are completely full, and we really rely on like standby flying.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have the option of like confidently flying to like Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah.
Through Atlanta, like doing the whole thing just to get to the.
Yeah. Delta.
Yeah.
My airline was, kind of picking up the displaced Southwest passengers, so we decided maybe this wasn't a good time for us to try to fly standby.
So we canceled the trip literally like at 11:59 p.m. the night before, which is like the last minute I could cancel all of our hotels for free. And then we figured like early the next morning, oh no, actually that evening, it was like 1 in the morning, we were like, you know what if we just got in the car and we drove to the Smoky Mountains? And that was like a really cute idea in my head, but it really wasn't that cute in reality because
20 hours of
driving. It was like 14
days.
hours there and 14 hours back, and technically it's like 11 hours, but you have stops, you need to grab some food somewhere. It's just like, it's a long drive. So, it turns out to be kind of like 14 hours. We had some traffic that we hit in like some weird spots.
I don't regret doing it because at the time, not having done it, it was like, well, why wouldn't we do it? We should try. Like, now we've done it.
No, it was cute, again. Like going into it. And then we got to the Smokies and the road to Mountain Coast. It was actually kind of busy. Like, it seemed to be some sort of like... Was it a holiday weekend? I don't know. It was just busy.
Fall break. Yeah, Dollywood was pretty busy. It was the busiest I think I've ever seen.
We had to wait in lines for mountain coasters, and I don't know. We were just kind of tired, and so we went to Dollywood for the next day for a full day, and then I got it into my head of just like driving back after the park instead of doing another night at the hotel, and we were feeling okay after like 10 hours in the park.
We ordered ourselves lots of espresso.
Yeah.
We saved some
in the morning,
car.
And then we had to sit in the car all night, so we were just cold to drink overnight. But then it was like probably like 10 hours into the drive, and we had to like reroute ourselves to Atlanta. Oh God, I was just so tired. I was so extremely tired. It was already like 7 a.m.
Sean likes to do most of the driving, so it's really bad when he
usually
asks
drive
me
all
to
of
drive.
it. So like when I had to like give up the last hour and a half to Alex, I was so defeated I couldn't drive anymore. Like it was dangerous.
You were like a different person. You were
bad.
In a frame of mind that I didn't recognize. Oh my God!
Yeah, I was like what is it called? Diabolical. Anyway, so. The moral of the story is don't do that drive in like a day.
Don't drive
up and then drive back down. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
The park itself, we had a good time. Operations were pretty decent. Mystery Mine ran weird.
Yeah.
Because of that new, they took away the hammerhead horseshoe looking turn.
Yeah.
And they replaced it with a less shallow drop and just a turn to the brake runs.
Yeah. Apparently that horseshoe element was putting a lot of undue stress on the side friction wheels.
Okay.
On the wheel assemblies for the vehicles. It was something that Dollywood had wanted, and Gerstlauer was still kind of finding themselves as manufacturers. They were still learning about like what made for healthy design when it comes to like the health of your ride vehicles and stuff. So,
and of course, There was Lightning Rod being closed.
Yeah, Lightning Rod was closed, but it had been closed
yeah.
for months, and it was closed for several more weeks after we went.
And all the water rides were closed, but it was actually kind of hot out. And then majority of foods and restaurants were closed, which meant the lines were,
They were really
they were all out of the park.
with
It must have been
staffing.
like 2-hour waits for food.
I feel like the park was really in rare form for me, like based on my past experiences, but it's our first time going since the beginning of COVID, so...
Coaster-wise, highlights for us on this trip in particular were always Tennessee Tornado, even though they cut a bunch of trees, so it was a little more open than usual. And a big highlight for us this trip was Thunderhead.
Thunderhead
was running
awesome.
really, really well. Their classic GCI wooden coaster. So it looks like all the wooden maintenance budget went to the only wooden coaster actually operating.
Yeah.
Okay,
that was in its
yeah.
favor. So that was good. Overall, honestly, I'm burnt out on Dollywood.
Yeah, Dollywood burnout for sure.
We have been saying for a while that SDC, like Silver Dollar City, has kind of been our favorite of the two.
Yeah.
And I think the last month when we did both like in a week, it really kind of
so we
solidified
ended
that.
up delaying our Silver Dollar City trip a week. It ended up being a blessing in disguise because
We went to Silver Dollar City for 2 days.
instead of one, because on our original week where we ended up going to Dollywood, they weren't open.
And they were open late.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday and on Wednesday. We didn't even stay all the way on Wednesday.
But yeah, we had so much time and the rides to ourselves, and we just rode and rode
everything was
and
a walk
rode.
on. We didn't wait for a single thing the whole 2 days, and then we had a bunch of night rides because it got dark at
It
like
was so
5
relaxing,
PM.
and
It was good.
epic. It was
Nice.
And like
Wonderful.
everything was operating. Staff
Wildfire
was on it.
was
Wildfire
amazing.
was running amazing.
On this, that ride is so underrated.
And I still think I prefer the setting in Silver Dollar City more than I prefer the Dollywood setting.
And they may have fewer coasters overall, but the individual coasters at Silver Dollar City are better. Like they have a stronger top 5.
And they have a stronger presence. They all like have their own designated areas. You know, the park is quite different from
all of
Dollywood.
those coasters. That park is really one of the best like nighttime ride parks in the world because the coasters all go way off into the woods and they're practically invisible. Whereas at Dollywood, the coasters are much more contained into individual parts of the park. Tennessee Tornado, Wild Eagle, and Lightning Rod go a little bit out there.
Yeah.
But
And
really,
we're gonna do a full episode on like really kind of like nitpicking or whatever you call it.
Nitpicking?
That one, nitpicking.
Yeah.
Between the two parks and what each strengths are and which obviously we prefer, which, you know, spoiler alert. But one thing before we move on to the next thing we did is I want to give a quick shout out to the park's cave tour.
Yeah.
This was actually my like 4th time there.
Yeah, the marble
and
caves.
I had never done the cave tour, and there's like giant caves underneath the park.
Yeah, big limestone
Which is the whole
caves
reason that
are
like that Silver Dollar City is themed
hundreds of
after this
square
old mining
feet.
town.
high.
And it is a like an hour tour. What's it? Like 45-minute tour.
Mm-hmm.
And you go like deep into the caves, like 200, 300 feet underground.
Yeah.
300 feet underground.
Yeah, it's so big they
and
can
it takes like a whole
inflate a
45
hot air
minutes
balloon
of
in
like
there. They've
walking
done
and
it several
crawling
times.
through the caves. I was honestly kind of scared in the beginning because there's like there's like 5 different kinds of bats that live here.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of different.
Their exact words
You know,
were there's several bats that live here, and the majority of our bats are the size of a chicken nugget.
And
You
apparently
never know what
fly
they
around.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like not into the idea of that, but you know I went down there anyway, and honestly I had a really great time.
It was
I was also the tallest person on the tour,
Yeah.
and so like you had to
okay.
enter the cave, you had to go through this like test wall if you would see
Yeah.
if you could like fit through
Tall
the narrowest
man's headache.
passages.
Yeah.
Which I was like, damn, they make you do this, and I realized that like it's actually
Yeah,
like
it
that
was
on
right
the
at
tour.
the entrance was like this little cutout version of Tall Man's Headache, and Sean was like, "Wow, they really make people go through that just to enter." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's your test because if you can't do this,
I was very
you
naive.
shouldn't
I
go
was
on the
very
tour."
naive. I thought the cave tour was like a literal little like train drive into the mountain and then out of it again. No. You actually walk into the caves for 45 minutes and then you take a little train
You
out
take a funicular out.
back up to the park.
The funicular,
okay.
fun fact, is Silver Dollar City's oldest ride.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
it was
train
really
out of the
cool.
cave.
Like that was
Sounds
really
nice.
cool.
Unique, yeah.
I would do it again.
Also, was it the first time that you did the rapids?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mystic
yeah.
River Falls.
Oh god, Mystic River Falls.
I really enjoyed it. Sean
Oh
was
my god, I
hating
cannot with that
because
ride.
it was so wet. But
It was really
Oh,
wet.
okay.
the nice thing was, you know,
And-
because the pressure was off, we just took our socks off and
And
dried
the water
them
was
in
cold.
the sun.
But I think one of the biggest things for me was not to compare it to like another similar ride, but I was expecting a little more like Infinity Falls. And this definitely feels like a little bit more of like a regional park version of Infinity Falls.
Yeah.
It felt less polished.
It's not as
rougher.
big as Infinity Falls.
Boats were a little less comfortable.
But compared to the original Rapids ride they had there, the old Hopkins Rapids ride, it's definitely an improvement.
It was a really neat. It was a really neat attraction.
It's a great looking ride with a nice presence. It's really nicely landscaped.
It has a very nice presence,
and very
for sure.
successful and popular with the guests.
It's just, I mean, water rides for me are always, either I love them or I hate them. There's really no in between for me. This one, maybe it's kind of in the middle. Like I like what it does. I just don't like how wet it makes you. Like we'll
talk
so
about it more
wet.
in detail in our Herschend versus Herschend episode. But yeah, overall, Silver Dollar City was great. We enjoyed our 2 days there. It was really nice to relax and just be in the area, not rush, and just getting like ample rides on everything.
And then another trip we did was a little LA Las Vegas trip, which we really needed because we missed the West Coast dearly. West Coast, Best Coast. Anyway, so we flew into LA. We were gonna meet up with my dad and his girlfriend. Fortunately, she fell ill right the day before the trip, but my dad was able to make it out. So we flew into LA, and then we went to Valencia, where Magic Mountain is, because we used to live there. And so we hung out with some friends, had some food, slept at the hotel I used to work at. And then the next morning, we took our classic drive that we always used to take from Valencia. Trip down memory lane through Victorville to Vegas. And then we stopped at the plane graveyard, which is cool.
So awesome.
Because
it's really not even a graveyard as much right now as it is a
just like a storage place. So there's over 600 planes parked there, many of which are retired. They're in the perfect desert condition. There's to maintain the parts for resale. So it was really cool. We saw a lot of modern aircraft that were parked there temporarily. We had an A380, the complete double decker from Qantas that we walked right up to. So it's actually, you can see a lot from the road. So you can really get close.
777s are there. We had a fleet of 13 of those prior to COVID, where we decided to retire them. So they're all in Victorville right now. We saw a lot of interesting some stuff. I think is just there temporarily before it gets called back into service.
Yeah, like the new A350s
and some stuff
from
is in the process
sort of stuff.
of being white-tailed. Which Sean tells me when you whitetail a plane.
Well, whitetail is aircraft that are manufactured that the original deal fell through, so they don't have an airline to go to. But what we're talking about here is that when airlines retire aircraft, they take their logos and names off of the airplane. So you'll see Delta airplanes that have the logo partially painted blue. So the complete logo is
obscured.
You can still see what airline it used to be for sure, but they take off the logo so that way
these are aircraft that are up for sale.
Yeah,
either
or part donors
to sell, either as parts donors or to sell the aircraft in working condition to another airline.
So yeah, we're I'm a plane nerd as well as a roller coaster nerd. So that's kind of where the interest lied. And we've driven by that place so many times in the past. We never actually took the time to stop, and we stopped for an hour. We had a really good time exploring the whole graveyard. I'd done the one in Mojave
before.
There
was a dead city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was
a dead neighborhood nearby.
Yeah,
in China.
Yeah. No, more like a physical ghost town that was once actually lived in and then abandoned, versus China where they don't even live in them.
Did you see Nomadland with Frances McDormand? Won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
It was kind of like that. It was very much like a company town.
I think it was related about Enterprise, Nevada, the city it was an industry town, and then the factory closed and the zip code was discontinued. The zip code for the city was discontinued.
So I kind of think it happened there too, because Victorville is really the crossroads to the west from California. There's a lot of train activity. There's giant train systems there, and there's mining, and then there's the world's largest logistics airport there. What we just talked about. So I think there was just probably a company that had some sort of involvement there.
There was
built
this
a town
giant
for their
neighborhood
staff
that was abandoned, and you couldn't drive into it. But then we pulled it up on Google Earth, and it was all these angelic little houses all set up in a row, but they were completely abandoned and being reclaimed by nature.
Yeah, so that was neat. And then in Vegas, of course, we hit the New York coaster with the newest trains.
Fun in Vegas. Finally got to ride New York coaster with the Premier Rides trains.
Even though we tried twice before.
Yeah.
So we're successful. Way overpriced, but still a fun coaster.
They got to pay for those trains somehow, and for the damage that they
Sven,
caused
you've ridden
when
them,
the
right?
ride derailed.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The old version, and then
The
Sander, he was terrified for his life, but I really enjoyed it.
It's different.
I liked the old trains. I didn't have a problem with them. The new trains definitely come with all of the pros
the ride
and cons
ran very
of
sluggish. Like,
the
oh my god, it
Skyrocket
was
trains.
so slow. You would hardly think it would make it through the course.
It's funny. The trains are a higher capacity now. They can hold up to 2 more people per dispatch now than the old trains, and yet the new trains fully loaded are still lighter than the old trains fully loaded, because the old trains were very heavy.
Yeah.
And these ones are like paper thin. So I hope it's working out for them. I think the general public opinion of the ride has improved dramatically, because I think the average person would rather have the comfort collar than have like the super abrasive like shoulder pad configuration that it used to have. So
and the cute thing was the little headlights on it. We were staying at the Maire Grand Chateau. We actually got a penthouse villa.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Because I work for the company, and we got a really good deal on it. And so we actually had a view of the Strip, and then there was a rooftop bar, which wasn't open, but you could still chill out at it. And you could see New York coaster, so we kind of enjoyed just having some beers up there and
New
watching
York coaster from the rooftop bar.
Watching it do its thing.
Directly above our hotel.
Speaking of rooftops, I also did the Stratosphere, or what they call the Strat. Now.
The Strat.
The Strat. It's a marketing
Finally
launch.
fulfilled a childhood bucket list item of riding the Big Shot.
It's not like it's like in a bad spot in the Strip for sure, and like the parking lot's not that cute. But then once you're inside the lobby casino, they remodeled, looks okay, and then when you get into the tower area, it feels very 80s.
The pod is what they call it, the Sky Pod.
Oh, yeah, the Sky Pod. But then when you get up there, it's really nice.
It's very nice.
It's really nice.
In the Stratosphere, you could spend all, like, you buy a pass, and if you buy admission to the pod, it's like in and out privileges all day.
And we've done a lot of like Sky Tower kind of things. We did obviously the Canton Tower in Guangzhou. We've done the Oriental Pearl Tower and the Oriental Pearl Tower space pod in Shanghai. We've done I've done the Willis Tower.
I've done the one in Düsseldorf. That one was really, really amazing.
So I was actually really impressed by how tall this one was. I mean, it's tall, but it stands out in the desert. You don't have much to compare it to.
Yeah.
And it really is a lot taller than I actually realized. And the cool thing about the glass is that on the observation deck, the glass is hangs outward, so you really do look down. You don't just look forward.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's marvelous.
You really look down. So like
it's about 340 meters up.
Yeah, it's tall.
The pod.
And like you lean against the glass and you like face down the city. You can see the entire valley.
And it's just beautiful with the mountains in the background. It's really one of the best views
definitely a vibe.
From an observation tower you could ask for.
And there's a bar in there. There's a restaurant. There's a quick service restaurant. There's a bar and like a gift shop on one of the levels. There's also like full exclusive dining restaurants that you can book and stuff. But actually, I would not lie. Next trip to Vegas, we're going back to the Strat.
I would happily go back up and just go in the pod and hang out.
When we went there, we only had one night, so it was not a lot of time, and it's pretty far from this.
Oh, it's
from
not
the
on
Strip.
So exactly.
And the rides on the Strat can be
location.
temperamental because luckily we went. It was very fair. There was no wind. But I went up on the Strat in 2014, and the Big Shot was closed because of high winds.
Oh, okay, yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the outside of the Strat on the top of the Sky Pod where the rides are located is actually not nice at all.
Yeah.
It's
much
very
more weathered.
It's very like this is clearly standing tall in the middle of the desert.
It's funny how evident it still is that the high roller coaster was there. You can see right where they like sawed off the track.
Yeah, like the rides were cool. I think Insanity was the
Insanity
best.
was really terrifying. It was way worse than even our Orlando Starflyer, which
Insanity
I hate.
Was awesome. That was like it's been spun so fast. It was like disorienting.
Yeah, it was so
really.
I was completely like it makes me shiver thinking about it. It was very uncomfortable for me.
The other two rides were kind of whatever. I thought Big Shot was not as good as
Big Shot was my favorite. I think it's still. And Brendan, our latest team member from California, Brendan was saying the same thing, that it was like the most intense of the like old SNS space shots still.
Have you ridden Dragon Tower at Castle Park? I feel like that one was way more intense.
We have ridden it. It's just been a long time.
Anyway, I thought it was whatever. I ran a little rough on my seat. They made it sit on opposite sides of the tower to balance it, and we were only people riding.
Yeah, it was not very busy up there.
It's funny because like I had the best view, but you enjoyed the ride more, so who knows, whatever.
And then of course they have what's it called? X Scream. The seesaw ride.
Yeah, we fly off the edge and then it like whips you back.
It's so fun sitting in the front on that one because the front seat of the vehicle hangs way over the wheel assembly of the vehicle, which means that you are completely off and suspended in midair if you're in the front of the vehicle.
Yeah, the ride was fine. It wasn't quite as crazy as Insanity. Overall, I enjoyed the rides, but honestly, next time I'll go up there, I'll probably just want to go up there for Observation Tower again, have a drink.
Just the Sky Pod.
Maybe do it at night, like get like an all-day ticket and then have some drinks at night.
Yeah, the rides are kind of a thing where like, well, if you've done them, you've done them, but like the Sky Pod
and the Sky Pod admission's not that
really
much.
enjoyable.
It's like $16 or something. It's not that bad
it's pretty cost efficient.
And then of course on the way back to we did a bunch of other stuff, but we'll talk about it in a different episode. And then on the way back, of course, we hit Magic Mountain, which was always good, but I don't want to spend too much focus on that because, again, we're going to have an episode on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's common ground between our last 2 months for us and Sven.
Yes.
That's the fact that we actually just came back a couple days ago from Disneyland Paris. Go figure. We spent more days at Disneyland Paris the last 2 months than at Disney World.
That's funny.
Even though, we're going tonight.
We have been to Disneyland Paris 3 times. Since our last visit to Anaheim, Disneyland.
And if we're going to count days, we've been to Disneyland Paris 7 days since our last singular day at Anaheim.
Yeah. We went to Disneyland Anaheim in January of 2020, and since then we've been to Disneyland Paris for 7 non-consecutive days.
Yeah. So, long story short, it was awesome. It was cold, though, but they had the Christmas decorations up. I don't know, did they have them up when you were there? Or was it still...
we still had Halloween. So
okay.
We went during what in Belgium is called... the autumn or fall holidays, so that's like the week of the 1st of November, and so my family went for 3 days for the fireworks festival because we saw the first fireworks at Disneyland Paris since COVID, as they do it yearly it's the bonfire event that they hold for especially for the UK guests. My family was there for 3 days at the Davy Crockett, but on November 1st, I didn't get a reservation with my annual pass, because obviously there's that to take into account as well when you go now. And then on the 3rd day, I already needed to go back to work. So I was only there for 1 day, and it was pretty busy still, and we arrived at the park at around 12 because we first tried out the pool at Davy Crockett, and it was surprisingly cold there. I guess it's a COVID thing that they had to have ventilation going on, but it wasn't really what I expected from it. Is
the pool indoor?
Yeah.
Yes, it's an indoor.
I know
pool.
This is a dumb question, but for Americans,
no,
an indoor
all the pools in Disneyland Paris are indoor.
That makes sense.
Except that maybe they have some section outside for some of them. I can't remember that well, but
I guess
2 of them.
In European resorts, I guess it is a given that your resort pool is indoor. In America, especially like in Florida, that's like unheard of.
But so it was really busy, and I remember that they really have a maintenance issue there still at Disneyland Paris, because we switched from the studios back to the park, and both Big Thunder Mountain, Hyperspace, and Pirates were down, Pirates was down, and the whole of Fantasyland because of the fireworks. So they had to close it earlied to put everything up.
That's Anaheim always is
Anaheim.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Small World caught on fire one time, and since then they've closed all of the rides around there.
Except that Anaheim has a lot of rides, but Disneyland Paris does not. So basically, you only had you only had Frontierland and Discoveryland remaining, and Hyperspace and Big Thunder were closed. So So we just did Phantom Manor. Because that finally had a low wait as well.
Yeah.
But, the fireworks was really nice. The music was more like upbeat covers of Disney songs, which wasn't always spot on. But I mean, it was just nice to have like that kind of event again at the park,
That's what we said when we saw the parade. We were like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a great parade, but it was just nice to see a parade.
It was already all Christmas. It was really nice, actually. They do a really good job with the Christmas stuff.
So it's the new Christmas parade thing.
Yeah. It was wonderful.
Yeah. It looks really nice. Yeah.
I actually stuck around for it.
The floats are beautiful.
Long parade. Lots of actors, I guess.
And the music was strong. I don't know. I'm a big parade snob, but
I do want to give a quick, not to sidetrack, but before we dive any further into Disneyland Paris, I want to do a quick little advice bit for any U.S. travelers trying to go. The French tourist destinations, restaurants, hotels, whatever, they no longer accept CDC cards. So you can use your CDC vaccine card to get into France at customs, and that's pretty much where it stops. So if you want to get anything done, you need to have a pass sanitaire or like a French health pass,
a sanitary pass,
which you can get your CDC pass converted into a digital French health pass, but only at like certain certified and approved pharmacies. If you fly into CDG, Paris Charles de Gaulle, there is a pharmacy at 2E, which is good for us because Delta flies out at 2E.
It's right next to Delta ticketing.
Where you can go in, you literally can say you have an American vaccine card, you need a French health pass, and they will take your information, they'll take your passport. It costs like 42 euros a person?
It was less than that. It was like 75 euros for both of us.
Yeah, okay. No, yeah, it's 36
it was,
or something.
And it was surprisingly fast. And it wasn't like there was a big line or anything of like Americans.
I mean, we did get ahead of the crowd, but that's a different story. And we got our French health pass. You just upload it to the anti-COVID app, and then honestly, you just showed it everywhere, and it worked really well. So just like a tip for if you go to Paris, like we were almost canceling our trip. In fact, we had canceled our trip. We were going to go to Disneyland LA, and it was literally like 2 days before.
We were so on the fence
that
about
I rebooked everything, and I said, "This is freaking
Disneyland or Disneyland Paris." That it was down. We had like 3 days.
Yeah, we were
leaving, and we still had not.
We needed a break from I guess vacationing really hard, so we went on vacation again. And so we were like super last minute decided to go to France, but the reason we canceled is because on the way back you have to get a negative test, and it takes forever. Sven can attest to, and we had to get the pass sanitaire, and it was just one of those things where like doing France, there's always something going on in Paris, which we also discovered because like the airport security was on a strike.
We almost missed our flight coming back.
Oh wow!
Because TSA.
TSA, we almost didn't go because of all that, but it was pretty easy this trip.
Plus,
go ahead.
For if you plan also for next year to go to Disneyland Paris, so the French government changed the rules that from January 15th you'll have to have a booster shot 6 months after your last vaccination shot to still have a valid sanitary pass. So that's also something to take into account. If you
we still need our boosters.
Yeah.
Our vaccines are from April, so if we got our boosters now or anytime now, we would be eligible.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think we're gonna go back to Disneyland Paris until after Avengers Campus opens.
Yeah, probably,
makes sense.
We were thinking of doing maybe February, but I don't know how much cold Disneyland Paris I can handle because like
there's a part of me
of the 7 days we went there in the last 2 years, it was always freaking cold.
There's a part of me that would love to be there on the day of the 25th anniversary, but I'm sure if it's anything like
the 30th.
Yeah, I'm sure if the 30th anniversary.
The reservations are already sold out for the.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So. I bet it's hysterical. Like I bet if it's anything like Disney World, although Disney World had passes available day of to get into Magic Kingdom on the 50th, didn't they?
Yeah,
like
but Disney World has a lot more slots that they can use than Disneyland.
But the celebration starts March 8th, and Avenger Campus should open somewhere in the summer. So
yeah, hopefully it opens in time for my birthday, then we'll do a little birthday trip. Yeah. Just like a quick little Paris.
And our annual passes expire in May, so
we'll have to
we would renew.
We have to buy new ones, but
we'd be happy to do that.
I think it's best to aim towards July, but we'll see.
It may be easier because we're already going to go out of town in May too, vacation. So anyways, that's about traveling to Paris.
And I'm glad to report that getting our COVID test done at the COVID testing center in the train station Charles de Gaulle was a little more organized
than the last time. But what helped though is that I made reservations for like the first slots of the day, like 7:00, because like there was like at 6:30 a.m. we rolled up there, and there was already like hundreds of people like crowding the space, and it was like so unorganized, and people like trying to get to the train station couldn't get through. It was just a big mess. But then we had to show our like confirmation numbers and like confirmation times, which you have to make on the French Doctolib website, which is only in French. And then you have to put like your country of birth. Good luck doing Google Translate and also putting Pays-Bas there without it. Whatever. It was a lot. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. But eventually I got those time slots secured. And so like we got on, we were one of the first people in there. And so our test results came back in like 30 minutes. Last time we had an appointment like a half hour later, and it took us 2-3 hours to get a result.
Yeah.
Sven can remember that.
That.
So
it was a process, but it was.
And I just got an email yesterday, a whole like 2 weeks later, with my test results.
Yeah.
Thanks, French government.
All in all, it was. I think we went in with the right expectations because I was like pleasantly surprised with how smoothly everything went. It could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part ended up being the only thing we didn't anticipate, which was the leaving and the strikes and almost missing our flight home. But other than that, it was a great trip.
That was very stressful.
It was so cathartic.
Not us being like, oh, we have time to get lunch at the airport.
Yeah.
And like we literally barely made our flight.
Yeah, we got to the plane.
Then I got
like
a random security screening for drugs. Remember that? And it took like another 20 minutes. I was like, oh god, guys, kill me now.
But yeah, we'll talk more about our. Are we doing a Disneyland
we're not doing
Paris
a Paris
episode too?
No, we're just kind of combining all of our Disneyland Paris experiences together.
Yeah. Well, I will say that our 3 days at Disneyland Paris were so cathartic, and even though there was no lines all 3 days, and we rode everything a ton of times, I was still upset when we left.
I always feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's my turn now. So the first theme park I visited was after the trip with you guys, and it was a new trip with Alex from Spain. From the European Coaster Kings.
Love
so
him.
We decided to do a little tour in Belgium, Luxembourg, and Germany.
Exciting.
We started off in Plopsaland de Panne for some Ride to Happiness, which was still good as ever.
Yeah.
And then the day after we left for Plopsaco, which is in the south of Belgium, and it's like a small half-day park.
It's like on our bucket list.
I would love to go there and ride Halvar.
Yeah, that's like the similar type coaster like Vogelrok at Efteling and like the one at Parque de Atracciones Madrid. The Tibidabo. Except that it's from all those that I've ridden, it's the least exciting one. However, it was a very rainy day. We got covered up with ponchos and everything, but we still...
Just another day in a Belgian theme park.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But we still... Alex was really excited to ride the télésiège, which is like the chairlift going up to the hill. And,
okay.
Rain or no rain, we just put our ponchos on and we went for it. It's like the perfect 20 minutes calm experience, far away from the crowds, and it's something nice to see. And then you have the viewing tower up top where you can exit, go for the view, and then you go back down, which is good to have a break because it hurts your ass a lot, those chairs. But anyway, so we spent half a day there, and then we drove to Luxembourg for a very exciting fun fair, the Fun'em Glasses, because it was our first time riding both Alpina Bahn and Olympia Looping.
Love those.
So double the fun. We had a good time there. We went to the fun fair, got the credits, then we did a little walk in the city center, which is so tiny for a capital.
Yeah.
And then we went back because we wanted to see...
Because we once drove to Luxembourg from Germany, and I kind of forgot we're in Luxembourg and we're already out of it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how small that country is.
Totally. Because then we wanted to see the fun fair in the dark, obviously, with all the lights, and really enjoyed Olympia Looping, especially front seat. It still runs so smooth. So
it's a beautiful
ride. It's fun
ride.
to have like a credit in Luxembourg.
I would love to do that fun fair or Winter Wonderland to ride Olympia Looping with you.
I find it so impressive that the Olympia Looping still runs the way it does, given that it gets dismantled like 5 times a year. You know?
Yeah, it's extremely well engineered, and that's like one of the most painstakingly maintained rides.
It's also the most profitable roller coaster anywhere. If I'm not mistaken.
Profitable.
They make millions on that thing. Oh my god.
And then the next day we got joined by James, also from European Coaster Kings. So the three of us...
Mr. Haskins.
Yes. So the three of us went to Movie Park Germany because we wanted... It was a first-time visit for both Alex and James, and it was super quiet, so we got to do lots of rides. And also for the newest coaster there, Movie Park Studios, there was like no queue. So we got a lot of value out of that visit. And I mean, Movie Park Studios, it's a nice addition for the park. Is it a major coaster that you have to do? Not really, but it fits perfectly for that type of target group for the park, you know. And
It's very high on my bucket list.
The reason I'm so excited for it is the queue, because of like all the like
props.
shout outs to old Warner Brothers and like ride layouts and stuff. That's what I'm really excited for.
However, if it's not busy, then you don't really have a lot of time to look at it, because you need to go forward to the station. Obviously, you can wait, but I mean, otherwise they're just waiting for people to fill the trains, you know. So so it's because it's right after the pre-show, and before you enter the station. So, but you can still indeed wait a little bit and have a look at it. But it's nice how they integrated so many of the old props and details and of the park. So yeah, it's a walk in the history of the park.
Now, would you say it's kind of the same skill as Van Helsing, or would you say Van Helsing is still like better?
No, Van Helsing is still better. I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
it's hard to find something that matches with Van Helsing for me, in that category of roller coasters. No, for Movie Park Studios, I'd compare it with that's a hard question, actually.
It's a very unique approach, that's for sure.
I just love the
Yeah.
POV of it. It looks like such a neat, fun ride. I love the homage to rides like Cop Car Chase.
Yeah. And there's a lot of going on of theming and stuff like that, but because the coaster goes so fast, I do feel that you don't really have the time to enjoy
Appreciate.
to appreciate the scenes. Although I'm saying it goes quite fast, but it goes too fast to really appreciate it. But it's not like a major thrill coaster, you know. It's really a family ride.
It seems like it has really high rewritability.
Well, and I also want to add that looking at the POVs, which POVs aren't, everything, but I am impressed with the amount of things they put on the ride. They really made it a dark ride roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like not to draw a parallel to Gringotts, but the focus of the roller coaster is much more than just being a roller coaster. It is to tell much more of a themed story.
I'd even say that it's more of a dark ride than a roller coaster almost.
I love that.
That's actually really exciting to hear.
That
I'm really excited.
At that ride is just like, I'm so excited to ride it someday.
Well, we should be riding it in May,
And
hopefully.
since we're already such big fans of that park, like I've loved Movie Park Germany since my first visit in 2013 when Van Helsing was new and they're still kind of like getting themselves together.
Well, Van Helsing opened in 2011, but...
Oh, I guess, still felt relatively new, but yeah.
And then it's the second... So my last visit and this visit, both Highfall was closed on both times, so that's really sad because I really enjoyed that
It's been closed
ride.
for a long
It
time.
seems to be a theme because
It's like
Niels-
open, closed, open, closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, our
Yes.
friend Niels is keeps going and missing it too, and that's his
Yeah.
favorite ride there. Hi Niels, if you're listening.
And then Bandit was... It's like... It wasn't painful, but it was just... There was nothing going on while riding, you know? It's really slow at the moment.
Not running very
Really?
fast.
I remember being one of
Yeah.
the faster ones.
I loved my rides on it
No,
the last
yeah.
time we rode it.
I wonder why.
That ride's
I-
a super guilty pleasure for me.
I just
It could
rode
be
it
to, like,
once
minimize
'cause
stress.
it was, like-
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's a thing like that, because I noticed a similar thing going on with Tonnerre de Zeus. when
Exactly what I was
rode it in
thinking of,
Barca
yeah.
Six. But
Oh, Tonnerre
yeah.
de Zeus was a kiddie ride on our visit. It was so... But I didn't dislike it, but I was like, wow.
Yeah, Nakagase Express being more intense.
More intense.
yeah,
Voldecar was more intense.
Voldy car crash.
Voldecar.
and then the final
my
park on the
God.
trip was 2 days of Phantasialand, and we were
Yeah,
staying
yes.
at Rookburg. So we
Yay.
had the complete fly Rookburg experience, and I really recommend it because it's
Loved
it's
your
just
restroom
such
video.
Oh
the
yeah,
toilet.
That sounds
mean,
very interesting.
the room.
I love
was-
your restroom video.
Yeah. Like the room itself, it was as I expected, except the bathroom was larger than expected. So that was good news.
Okay.
But the fact that you're so close to fly, and then after hours that you can just walk around there, the food is good at Urwerk. You have good cocktails in the bar.
Yes.
So it was like the complete experience that we hoped for, and yeah, I'd probably do it again as well. So, but I think we'll go more into detail also in another episode talking about hotels of theme parks, and this one will definitely be included.
Would you say it was worth the price? Because I remember you saying the package was quite expensive, right?
Yeah, but for me it was worth the price. Obviously, if you take into account the regular prices of a Phantasialand ticket, then it's definitely worth it. But of course, there's times where you can get it cheaper tickets. But then again, I mean, just like it felt very exclusive, and that was a fun experience, especially in Phantasialand, which is such a wonderful park.
Well, the nice thing is I've heard like unanimously positive reviews about the food, the hotel, like everything. So maybe next time we should look into it.
Yeah, I think we should look into it next time. I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, it's a fun experience. And then in that same week, I went home, and the day after, I left for Sweden. So that was like the biggest trip I guess I had in 2021 for new parks. And we first thing was that all of a sudden you felt like COVID was gone.
Oh yeah,
no masks.
Swedish approach, right?
Yeah, the Swedish approach. So, and the first thing we did was, after going to the hotel, was the Night Rider experience at Gröna Lund, which is basically a big party going on in the park after hours. Only a few, not all the rides are open, but the major ones. And we had some very good rides on Monster, some very good rides on Jetline. So it's
Tell me, Monster, is it like Mamba good? Is it like Osiris good? How good is it?
Well, it's most comparable to Black Mamba. It feels a bit softer. It's not as violent as Black Mamba for me, which I prefer. Yeah. And the elements itself are less how to put it. Well, Black Mamba has the same issue for me, is that the elements are very similar. And for Monster, it's even more, because with the inversions, it's almost...
A lot of them are like rolls.
The three of them are very similar. But still, the way that you have the first drop above the lake almost, and the view on Stockholm, and then the way it goes towards the park... my issue with Black Mamba, you're looking at the walls. While here, you're looking around at the
There's
park,
a lot more
and
to
you also
see.
have the walls, but you have the near miss feeling still, and you have more liberty of views. So for me, and just the way that they put that ride in that park is incredible, because it's such a small park. And I heard from people that went before Monster was there, like, how did they ever manage to get a B&M coaster in there, and especially in an invert. So they did a really good job. The Night Rider event was a lot of fun. They had a lot of animation. Plus, it was the same day that ABBA announced their new album. So the start of the announcement started in Gröna Lund that day. So they still had the stage up and the theming. So that was fun. And obviously another highlight there was Icarus, which is like the Falcon's Fury, the small Falcon's Fury.
Yeah, the Intamin sky jump, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, so with the view again over Stockholm in the dark. I mean, Stockholm itself is a beautiful city, and you really experience that. Gröna Lund is a big part of that, because you can see it from a lot of corners there. So, and then obviously another highlight that trip was our visit to Kolmarden, because it's a big zoo, obviously, but it's, how to put it, you have like this, I had to think of Canada, because you had like the green landscape with lakes around it and forest area, and then you have this zoo all of a sudden right in front of it, in it, and then it's also a bit higher up, so you keep having those views on those lakes. And then there's two major rides, obviously. The first one being Wildfire, and for me it was my first topper track RMC.
Mm-hmm.
So now I really understand the difference between, okay, this is a wooden coaster, and then the Iron Horse ones that are
love to get set that because
Yeah.
they really run so differently. They really ride like two different coaster types.
Wildfire is the only topper track that we're missing now.
Yeah, we've got
but the three topper track coasters are handily my favorite of the RMCs, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the day, I was like, because I had quite high expectations, and I was like, okay, not sure if this is exactly what I expected. But then towards the end of the day, that ride just went insane.
Yeah.
I mean, and it wasn't even dark out. It was so good, and yeah, it
Where does it
became
rank
my
for
favorite.
you?
Top 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
definitely.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you like it
Like
better
it
than
were.
Ride to Happiness?
No, not the
No.
Ride to Happiness.
Okay.
but-
I just think about Ride to Happiness lives in my mind rent free, so it's kind of like a bar that I use to judge other new major things right now.
And it's not my favorite RMC because I still prefer Untamed, but
Oh, good to know.
but it depends what you're looking for, like, because obviously the setting is so good and so nice. The first drop with the lake in front, and then the inversions, the speed it gets, you really pass by real rocks. I mean, for me that's an experience because like we don't really have that kind of coasters here in Belgium, you know. So but yeah, it was, I really loved the park. And then the other highlight is the safari, which is a cable car safari, but then pretty much like the not small, it's not a small cable car, you know. It's pretty much like the Skyliner, maybe a little smaller than the Skyliner, but that kind of experience, which goes above animal reserves.
Yeah, see, that's what I think is so cool. Kind of reminds me of the San Diego Zoo.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, so that's definitely, and you also start with amazing views on Wildfire, so that was cool as well. But yeah, and then so really lovely time in Sweden, and then the final visit was when you guys were in Disneyland Paris. We were in Europa Park for the first time Halloween season.
Halloween, is that what they call it?
Yes, because it's the transition period between Halloween and winter season, obviously. But it's never been open during that time of year.
Not Europa Park making up a whole new event for it.
I love that.
Yeah, and Europa Park is also so quirky in the way that you really have, okay, here's some pumpkins and here's Santa Claus. And then, so, yeah.
It's very Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's certainly a choice.
Yeah, but it's you have to see it to experience to really. If you've never been to Europa Park, it's hard to imagine because it's such a major resort, but it has such a regional theming when it comes to Halloween and winter. But that's why you still like it. And then it's definitely the time to go because we were there for 3 days. We stayed first at Colosseo and then at Kronazar, the best theme park hotels I've ever done. But again,
love the Colosseo.
Yeah, we'll keep that for another episode as well by going into detail of that. But so the first day we went to Europa Park, second day we went to Rolantica, third day to Europa Park, and also Rolantica. I didn't imagine spending a whole day there without reading my book, and I had my Nintendo and everything, but we didn't have time for that. We just went around 3 times and we did Snorri-Turen a lot, and so yeah, it's a major indoor subtropicals pool in Europe. And my favorite thing was we were in the Snorri Saga's lazy river, and all of a sudden there's the character Snorri in the tour. So it's like the live character. It's like a puppet, but really well done, and it even sprays you while you're relaxing. So we went for a second tour then because we wanted to take a selfie, obviously.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the next day I went back to Rolantica to get some part maps, and the same character was at the entrance.
Aww.
So we saw him again. Yeah, but and Europa Park also lovely. Wow, Wodan in the dark. I had had not done that before, and at the end of the day, that was insane. I mean, it's already a short. People describe it as a short ride, but with that speed, I mean, it just doesn't.
There's something
stop.
about running like GCIs in the dark.
Yes.
Like big GCIs in the dark, Gold Striker, Thunderhead, even Apocalypse. Those rides always run so well in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like those transitions.
Yeah.
It's the transitions for me, really.
Yeah, and then Blue Fire, same thing still, though. Not that the launch was a lot faster, but the whole... It did feel as if it went through the layout a bit faster as well. But Wodan, that was really the highlight of the whole trip. That was such a surprise. But yeah, lovely time there. I preferred it over my visit to Disneyland Paris. Well, obviously because you also had the 3 days, but yeah, no crowds. We waited max 10 minutes once for Voletarium because they were just playing the show before us. So definitely the Halloween-Winter season, if they still keep it next year.
Were all rides open?
All rides except for Atlantica Super Splash, because they are building the Ferris wheel there.
Oh yeah, Bellevue.
Yes. So that they already started with the ground base for that. And then the Rapids is also closed because they use that space for the ice skating rink and then some additional smaller winter themed attractions.
Yeah.
Thematically appropriate. Okay.
Yeah. But the Log Flume was open, Poseidon was open. So
that Log Flume is awesome, and
Yeah.
Poseidon is great too. But
and they keep it they as long as it's not freezing, they keep it open. So I
Yeah.
remember going actually in the winter season, and it was 3 degrees Celsius out, and it was still open. Silver Star was open, Poseidon was open. So
Yeah.
we went for it.
yeah, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Good for you guys.
I can't wait to
we
go
had
back
very
there.
similar trips except for
Yeah.
different destinations. So
Yeah,
that's good.
it's really the resort experience that you're looking for as an enthusiast for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had such a great time there.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we had quite the trips
We've
together.
been busy. It's
I
all
know, it's
that
pretty
pent
good.
up
In like
demand
a 6 weeks,
and energy.
6 week period, we've all traveled the world except for Asia.
Or Asia.
I was about to say, especially the US and Europe, but
Yeah.
other than that, Central Europe.
It's like so now next is what's in store for season 4, which rhymes.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
What's in store? Oh my God, your little note.
I made a
with the
note
little
on our
heart
little.
next to it. Oh my
In the show
God.
notes.
It's
Incredible.
So
so
I made a
cute.
show
Yeah,
note
the
that
show
wrote,
notes.
"Yay, this segment's title rhymes hard," which it does. Anywho, so this season we're gonna bring back our minisodes. Last season we had Ian support us with the Lost Coasters of California series.
Ian, we love you.
This year we're doing coasters A through Z, which is 26 episodes A through Z.
Wow.
And
Really?
then- yes. Well, just making sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be discussing a rent-a-coaster every week for like 10 to 15 minutes. I expect it to come out on Mondays because that's what we historically have done to start your week off with some coaster action. This season will be a long one again, also because we have, of course, the mini-sodes running. Our episode's length will be about the same though. This is going to be a bit of a longer episode today because
Yeah.
first episode of the season. But we're going to keep it around an hour.
We're doing it pretty good though. Yeah,
Not this episode around an hour, but like the future
Yeah.
episodes around an hour,
Yeah.
like we did in season 3. We're gonna again have our main host here, myself, Sven, and Alex. A combination of the three of us. Either it's Sven and his brethren from Belgium, or ourselves, or all of us together. This kind of depends on what the topic is and who has to work and who is on a trip. You know, the usual. We're gonna bring back Crystal Crown Awards. That's gonna be done later this year. So the last episode of the year, we'll be bringing back some of the weirdest yet most underappreciated theme park categories, and picking a winner as the grand jury that we are. So I'm looking forward to that aspect. Doing that again. We'll do a Hot or Not episode early next year. That was a big success. So,
I think we're gonna rename it Lit or Shit.
we were actually, but I wasn't sure if people were gonna understand what it was. So it may eventually debut as a lit or shit episode, but we'll see.
But the description will probably still be hot or not.
Yeah, but we'll just like refer to this litter shit only in like verbal manners. But yeah, stay tuned on social media. We're gonna post a bunch of polls again, and you're gonna vote whether it's lit or shit or hot or not. And then we'll obviously feature those results in the episode, probably February. And other than that, yeah, the episodes are going to be the same kind of topics as last season. We had a lot of positive feedback about the topics we discussed. It'll be like, opinion pieces, arguments, rankings, trip reports, travel advice, news, you name it. We tried to involve our listeners, readers, followers a little bit more this season. So yeah, stay tuned on our social media channels to find a way to get involved in the episodes and be featured. But yeah, that's pretty much what's in store for season 4.
I'm excited.
Nice.
Especially now we have our new recording studio set up upstairs in the office. I'm enjoying this a lot more than craning over our dining table.
Yeah, we definitely upgraded a little bit.
And I noticed that there were things in the view that going on somewhere cutting your attention.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have a little park right in front of our house, and this has a at least 20 feet / like 4-meter tall roof over like a little picnic area, and this kid climbed on top of it and was running around on it.
Running around on the roof.
Like throwing frisbees and shit, and we're like, this kid's gonna die. Like
where
it's
are
gonna
the
fall.
Kids' parents.
It was very alarming. There was no parents
kids
around.
climbing on the roof.
And they were throwing Pringles on the roof. It was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
What a coaster experience.
Yeah.
What an experience. Speaking of coasters and experiences, let's talk about some news.
Okay.
We had a long list over here compiled. Let's start with Dollywood's new coaster.
Okay.
What do we think it's going to be?
The floor plan, for lack of a better word, for the new coaster has raised questions about what kind of coaster we can expect.
They call it a family coaster, but the thing you got to know about Hershey and Family Entertainment is that they will call anything a family coaster.
Because they want
They
people to ride
launched
it with their
Outlaw
families,
Run.
whether
It's a family
aggressive
coaster,
or
and it's
not.
arguably the most intense coaster in the entire chain.
Yeah.
That thing is balls to the wall crazy. So like, it could be anything. I personally am hoping for / kind of expecting another Mac Extreme Spinner. I
Yeah.
think Time Traveler was very well received at Silver Dollar City. So well received that I think they want to do it again. It's appeared in Dollywood
polls, like
in
and
their
stuff,
like their newsletters and their surveys.
And I think they're very happy with Mac because Mac is so consistent. And
Yeah, and I mean,
Hershey is
and when you look
definitely
at the
burned
layout of the
out
map,
on
it almost looks kind of
fulfillment.
like Rides of Happiness with like the 2 parallel launch moments, the station setup. So I wouldn't be surprised if this new family coaster is going to be Mega Extreme Spinner. And actually, I just
And it would be a really nice compliment to Wildwood Grove, which is by and large a big kiddie area with the Vekoma family invert. That's really a great fit for Dollywood, even though it's Dollywood's only like production model major coaster. It's still a fabulous ride for them, and the only one of its kind in the Western Hemisphere, I think. So we're excited to see whatever their plan is, whatever the new coaster is. We're excited to see that flesh out.
When
This
is
will
it
be for
expected to open?
2023, I think.
2023, I think.
Yeah.
Another thing opening up in 2023 is Fantasy Springs,
Yes.
Tokyo Disney Sea's new area that is literally 50% the size of its current existing park.
It's like 2.5 parks now.
It's
expansion is
really
so
massive.
huge that it's
The
almost
impressive
its own
thing,
little
I think,
park.
is how well they were able to keep kind of like the aesthetic of Disney Sea being very naturalistic. I
Very
was very concerned when they were like,
sophisticated and-
Frozen, Tangled, and Peter Pan. Like, what the hell, Disney Sea? That's not who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
That
understand.
was my
but
original concern.
Then
But
again,
now it
it's
looks
also
really
Disney
good.
Sea, you know.
Having so much space to work with so that the subsections of Fantasy Springs don't bleed.
Well, yeah, and,
is a
and,
huge-
and the aesthetic for all 3 naturalistic areas is all kind of the same. It's just that they have their own like building architecture.
Yeah.
So overall, from what I've seen, it's gonna look really good. I'm really excited. Opening 2023.
Yeah, it's kind of
and
their
I'm pretty-
Galaxy's edge. And it's
I'm
gonna
pretty
be
curious
amazing.
about what they'll do with the Peter Pan area, though, because obviously there's already the classic Peter Pan. What kind of ride would, and I think it was 1 or 2 even. I know some areas have 2 rides and some have 1.
Yeah, Frozen has 1, and then Tangled I think has 1,
Tangled's
and
gonna
I think
have a
it's 2 for
ride.
Peter, if I'm not mistaken. But I honestly don't quote me on that. I don't have it handy with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be
So
very
it will be
curious
interesting to see what they
Yeah.
will do there, and yeah.
Next up, we have Walt Disney World's Epcot Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, officially opening in the summer 2022 now.
Yep.
So that means they're much further along in the process
nice,
than they have recently made it seem. I do know that filming for the pre-shows and stuff is still I don't even know if they've actually completed it yet, because last time I checked, they were going to do it as part of the filming for whatever next Marvel movie was coming out that included those actors. But I'm pretty sure there was a delay in that.
Yeah.
But if they're confident opening it in summer 2022, they've announced it, then I'm sure that the recordings will be done sooner or later. But we do know the train's been on the track and testing is happening. So I'm excited. That's I love Tron, obviously, but I'm very excited for that ride because it's like something we don't know what it's going to be yet. So I'm really excited for that.
And I liked how the teaser had that Glenn Close in there.
Yeah.
Apparently, because as the story will probably be centered around that, community in the first movie.
Yeah. So the finale, if I'm not mistaken, of the ride is that that portal looking thing. If that's what we're discussing, I'm not super versed on the words. So there's already been some pictures shown from within the show building. That kind of display that sort of thing. I'm just excited to know that it's so incredibly massive. I just want to know there must be so much they can do with that compared to the other Disney coasters, because Tron already tells a pretty good story, but Tron is like 1/4 the size of Guardians, so it's kind of.
I was about to say, isn't it like the largest indoor coaster in the world?
It is. It is longest indoor coaster in the world. It's gonna be crazy. I don't know if it's gonna be a lot of like show scenes where there's any like slow moving or stopping involved, but there's a lot of screens on their break run, so who knows? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Next up is some SeaWorld Orlando news. Manta's repaint is completed. However, Kraken is going to get repainted new colors, and that's the real mystery.
Yeah, Kraken surprise was they started painting the supports like as soon as they finished with Manta.
And the supports are like a dark purple.
Yeah.
Like a dark purple kind of vibe, like dark bluish. We'll have to see what it actually turns out to be, but I'm curious because this ride has never had a different paint scheme before. It's always been the same yellow.
It's always been the pale yellow and light
tealish blue aqua. So we're excited for that. Lots of repainting. Speaking of which, I'm going to jump ahead real quick to other repaints. Carolina Cyclone is getting repainted.
Yeah.
As of right now, it looks like
that
it's going to be light blue Viridian versions.
Paint scheme. Well, not always, but in the last 15
that
years.
one had a lot of repainting.
Yeah.
But,
that's in Carowinds, right?
Carowinds,
Yep, that's correct.
Yes.
It looks like it's going to be light blue for the inversions and a potential tool for the rest of the track versus the inversions being like all different colors.
Yeah.
We have Accelerator getting repainted the classic bright red that it opened with back in 2002, which is exciting, and it's going to have the lighter supports again, so throwback to the original. As of right now, there's lots of colors going on, but I think most of it's
now,
primer.
Accelerator has orange and
so
yellow.
So don't get your hopes up.
Parts.
I don't think they're going to do some crazy flame thing on an intimate track. I don't know if their budget's that high. Then we also have any other repaints. Tatsu's repaint. Tatsu's repaint is the one
colors.
and only repaint that I'm like.
Yeah, that's a
kind of
major
by.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, they really needed a repaint for it for like the last 10 years, so glad they finally came. But the biggest shock is, of course, the green supports and the orange track, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Next up, who knows about Phoenix at Farup Sommerland?
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, the layout is complete from what I've read. And like Alex says, it looks like the Lek coaster at Legendia in Poland, but then like a step up. So we're really hoping to go to Denmark next year to hit that park. And
hell, we may add it to our trip.
Yeah. I love this park. I went in 2011, and they've added several coasters since then, so I look forward to seeing it. And this is a Vekoma Wildcat is the name of the model that they're installing. So it's amazing to see a park install this thing. It's got a lot going on. It just looks beautiful. I can't wait.
On the topic of Vekoma's new models, they've been pumping them out because then there's also the new Renegade coming to China, which has that weird like sideways stall.
Yeah.
They're really on fire. They're on fire. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I just need one in the United States. Please.
Yeah. Speaking of the United States, and speaking of Vekomas, the Lost Island theme park in Waterloo, Iowa, which is home to a Vekoma SLC
from Watanga Junction.
And
Cape,
and also
Cape Cobra
Kinnonen from Leesburg.
Yes.
The biggest news is really well. First of all, they are getting a Sally Dark ride theme to like some mystical volcano, like some because it's gonna be like it's almost gonna be like a Volcano Bay kind of vibe, but like at a regular theme park and a water park. But the biggest news is that recently plans came out for the expansion. The first expansion.
Next phases include
being a custom flying coaster and a custom rapids ride interacting with each other. Now, the cool thing is that based on the shape of the flying coaster, there really isn't much telling who may be making it, but I have a suspicion that maybe Vekoma's.
But yeah, we have a hunch it'll be a Vekoma Rapids ride and a Vekoma flying coaster built simultaneously together.
Does Vekoma still make Rapids ride though?
I think Vekoma would.
Oh, even if it's not Vekoma, I think based on the shape of the layout, there is a possibility that it may be kind of
it just seems
like,
so much more likely that Vekoma would be building the flyer, because B&M's flyers are already feeling a little dated, given the circumstances, and seeing that this is so far.
God, speaking of
in
dated,
the future.
Talk about the next news bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios and Disneyland is rumored to return in 2022. The show, in my opinion, especially the one here in Hollywood Studios, very dated.
Apparently,
however,
all of the
there should be some new scenes coming in. We're looking at, I think I heard Frozen was one of the main focuses, Moana, the usual new age Disney fan favorites.
Probably Coco.
But I'm just excited for it to come back. I want the Star Wars show back at Hollywood Studios. If I had my choice, but I'll take Fantasmic. I just won't watch it. Another thing that's actually new at Hollywood Studios that bothers me a little bit is they replaced all the billboards over in Sunset Boulevard with digital screens, so they can change the billboard like several times a day. Like now they have like the Christmas the holiday ones, but they're such bright LED screens that like they don't vibe like a classic Hollywood billboard, and it really bothers me. Anyway, next.
Big Dipper
Luna Park in Australia, in Sydney.
Oh yeah,
it's been testing. So it's the hot rod single rail roller coaster type by Intamin, and it uses a tire driven launch, which I didn't really I knew it was this coaster had it, but I didn't know that to like into the construction, because I kind of thought that maybe it would be like like an LAM or something. However, it hauls ass over those tires. It goes very fast. It has several inversions. Not to say that the RMC single rails aren't cool. I think I vibe a little bit more as of right now with the choices that Intamin's making to do with them. It seems a little bit less whippy. They're very different from what I've seen so far. But I'm excited. It's been testing actively. It should be opening sometime.
The seats look a lot more like
months.
They look like Velocicoaster seats or whatever, but inline. So I already like that aspect better. I've never been a fan of the RMC single rail ride vehicles with like the shoulder straps and stuff. Intamin's ride is definitely going to be a less intense product, but it also requires a less abrasive restraint system. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Hopefully a park a little closer to home will build one.
I mean, talk about like interesting and kind of awful restraint systems. Southport Pleasure Beats is getting approved for a new roller coaster, which looks like it's going to be a Zamperla Thunderbolt. Which are notorious not having the greatest restraints. However, excited for that park that they got a new ride, because I wasn't expecting it.
Hopefully it'll track well. Hopefully the Zamperla is addressing the tracking issues that they've had with their existing installations. You can feel.
I will say they're wild, but I do kind of like them. The one we rode in Alabama at the park at Owa.
They have a lot of potential. They're very intense, but it's like you can feel every track piece. Like as you transition to the next track piece, you bump over it. So hopefully that's something that they fix.
Another exciting bit of news is the Fun Spot Atlanta Air Force One. Sorry, that name is just like.
It is the worst roller coaster name in recorded history.
I'm so impressed with what this little park is doing.
I get that Airy is the last name of the family, but I don't care.
Yeah, I think Air Force One or just like Force One or whatever. It would have been cool
in recorded history.
Air Force One. That sounds
No, it sounds funny. That's the problem.
It's bad funny. It's kitsch.
I mean, it's very Fun Spot, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like a massive RMC Iron Horse coaster. It's going to be completely circumnavigating the existing plot. They had to buy, I think, it was 26 additional acres of land just to fit this right in, and it's doing some crazy stuff, like a dive loop, and it has obviously the vertical drop. It has the stall. It has that crazy downhill barrel roll. It's gonna do a lot of stuff. I just don't know where they got the money from.
I don't understand
that is a really expensive
how they
big
think
ride.
They're going to see a return on this. I don't know.
It's $13 million
how many of our listeners
to
have
build
been
that thing.
to Fun Spot Atlanta, but it's basically a glorified family entertainment center.
It feels like a little it's like on the field.
But
you're walking around.
It's not
like
in a high.
grass.
This is in a southern Atlanta, like South Atlanta neighborhood. It's not a very high income area. I just don't know how they're gonna build this thing and then not price out their clientele.
Like, it's so massive, even compared to like any other thing that they've done at the other fun spot parks. I'm just really surprised that that's the park that's
like
getting
this park
it.
is a really I love the park. It's a very cost efficient like alternative to Six Flags over Georgia.
But let's think about it this way though. This park has a massive market to pull from.
Yeah.
There's more than enough space to have Six Flags and have Fun Spot. There could, this maybe this capital expenditure is definitely designed for them to get the foot into the door and be like, hey, like in 10 years from now, I mean, there's a lot of land around it they could probably purchase.
I really hope it works for them.
In 10 years from now, it can be a park.
I just hope they don't screw over their fan base, like their existing clientele base, by pricing them out with this however many $1 million coaster. But also I just feel like they've skipped a few steps. I mean, the only other coaster they have is a Miler kiddie coaster and like a small Miler family coaster. Like, they could have built a coaster with half the budget.
Could have been half the size.
It could have been half the
really
price, half the budget, and still been like an enormous quantum leap.
It could have been a mind blower, but an RMC version.
Yeah. It could have been
it's
a Bacola
interesting
Boomerang.
How let's say Atlanta will have 2 RMC coasters compared to like countries here that we have 3 RMC
of all
coasters
places,
in Europe.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's the one city, one metro that has 2 Iron Horse coasters, and it's Atlanta.
Kind of reminds me of California when you would have considered like the Tidal Twister and stuff. There's like 5 RMCs.
Yeah. The fact that the Bay Area had an Iron Horse coaster and a single rail coaster was like,
and Harley Quinn,
and
which
Harley
is also
Quinn
manufactured by RMC.
Fail coaster.
Yeah.
So nice.
Next up we have a Coda Land, which is opening Palindrome in 2022, which will go over the road.
What did you call that? What did you call it?
You say it.
Palindrome.
Whatever. Nobody knows.
A palindrome.
Infinity.
For those who don't know, a palindrome is a word.
Oh, everyone knows what a palindrome is. I guess they know
Not
how it was called.
necessarily. Not everybody knows what a palindrome is. A palindrome is a word that is spelled forwards and backwards the same way.
And that's exactly what it is. It's a shuttle coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it goes forwards and backwards the same way.
Over a highway.
Over a highway. This is in Austin, Texas, right?
It's a very Texas thing to do.
It's like in a flea market.
They had some really trashy rides.
It's like it looks like a fairground. It's like this.
It's like a swap meet.
This flea market, it's a swap meet. It's like putting their hat in the ring.
Reminds me of Uncle Bernie's.
But Austin, Texas does not have a regional park, like not a real regional park. So it's a good. I think there's definitely some potential there for this to work.
Well, if anyone saw the announcement video for it, the first turn out of the station, they gave the element a name and they called it the anticipation turn. Which I'm like, what does that even mean?
The anticipation turn.
The anticipation turn.
Okay.
Next up is Thorpe Park. Sven.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. Tell us about the Thorpe Park thing.
So our UK members noticed that there was a special website talking about a new roller coaster for Thorpe Park, and then all of a sudden they confirmed on Twitter that a world-class new roller coaster would finally come back to Thorpe Park. So there's not much known about what type of coaster it could be, but yeah, I guess fans have been speculating either a kind of hypercoaster or an RMC coaster. Obviously, that's just speculation, but I think both of those types would fit very well in Thorpe Park.
Well, wasn't there like a teaser hidden, like an Easter egg inside of one of the haunt mazes that said like Thorpe Park or TP RMC 22?
Yeah, but I mean, is it a joke? Is it real?
Yeah,
it could be.
The real question is if it's like a red herring or not. But I'm excited for them.
Definitely, yeah. It's that park has been craving for a new roller coaster, I guess.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Because the Swarm was 2014, if I remember correctly.
I think it was older than that. I think it had already been a couple.
2012, yeah.
2012,
so
yep.
That's almost 10 years since that there. Well, it will be 10 years that there was no new roller coaster at a major thrill park. So.
Right.
So yeah, that's Thor Park.
What do we have left on our countdown? We're having Sean is
yeah. So we had some. We also wanted to add some follower interaction, and we can start with the European one then. It's like an ongoing discussion that I wanted to see what the current opinions are about it, and that's we did a little color quiz, and at the end of the quiz there was a poll regarding the color of Baron 1898 at Efteling.
Oh yes, yeah.
And the eternal discussion from people like, is it green or is it blue? The majority went for green, 77%, and 23% said blue. Can you? I know you're a bit colorblind, right, Alex?
Yes.
So
I thought it was brown.
But
Don't ask me what color something is, because I will. And I'm also really fond of the Tatsu color scheme, and I've had other people tell me that they really liked it, and then I asked if they were colorblind, and they said yes. So, so I think whoever came up with the color scheme for Tatsu just really had red-green colorblind people like in their hearts and minds, because all the colorblind people are like, oh, this looks great, and all the people who see normally are like, what is this? Who decided this?
Yeah, it when you look at it, it feels like the kind of colors you would give a roller coaster in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yes.
Yeah, like standard roller coaster to have that color scheme.
Yeah.
But so yeah, also there you guys asked the question like, the Tatsu repaint, is it a yay or a nay? And
I'm
looks
impressed.
like it's pretty even. Like,
I'm surprised that 56% of voters said yay. I'm surprised because people have been talking.
58.
No, it says 56 right here.
That's oh, sorry, 56, not B. Sorry, I thought it said 66. Sorry, I thought it said 66, not B.
Yeah, 56% of the voters liked it, and I'm actually surprised, based on the amount of negativity that I'm hearing about it. I'm surprised that a majority of the people who responded actually like it. But I think some of that is just people were so happy that it's getting repainted at all that they are totally indiscriminate about the paint job. They're just like, I'm just so glad it's getting painted. I don't care. Beggars can't be choosers.
But do you think they will also adapt the logo then? Because that's like the orange dragon, right?
I mean, this is Six Flags, so I could see them painting the whole ride, and then like, I don't know. I don't even know what the trains are going to look like. Like, who knows? Who knows? I'm just glad, we know this repaint
the logo has green in it though.
The repaint is really expensive.
Okay.
This is like a multi-million-dollar project just to repaint the ride, so I wouldn't expect anything else about the ride to be updated that isn't literally just the track and supports.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We shall see.
Okay.
All right. Does that cover?
That pretty much covers
that
episode
covers
1
our
of season 4.
Yep.
Next up, what do we have next week? So I think next week we're gonna do our episode about SeaWorld City versus Dollywood.
Okay.
And then by the end of the year, so within the next couple of weeks, we'll have the Crystal Crown Awards as well. And I think Sven is doing an episode about Sweden.
Some of the European parks I'll need to have a look, but yeah, I think it would be interesting to do a Sweden episode. And also, yeah, like some of the nicer theme park hotels in Europe, we'll have a look into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, make sure to check us out on thecoastkings.com. We haven't been super active with articles lately, just because, as you may have been able to tell from this episode, we've been gone a lot, doing a lot of things. But there are definitely articles about every park we mentioned pretty much. And we have our Discord channel. Of course, we have our social media channels. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Florida Coast Kings, European Coast Kings, California Coast Kings, Federal Coast Kings. And yeah, we'll be back with some park updates soon. We'll do a little more U.S. stuff this winter, so we'll look forward to it. All right.
Thank you for listening.
This is Coaster Kings Radio signing off.
That's right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.